It is an exciting day today, ladies and gentlemen, for we will finally be revisiting the hit series, the only reason that any of you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. We are going to be restarting the Planet Coaster series, and in this episode we are first of all going to be introducing the face cam, just because not a lot of interesting things is done in this episode, and I thought, a lot of YouTubers have a face cam. Maybe I should have a face cam as well. So if you don't like this, write it in the comments, because I thought, hey, I tried it on because what I just said was a joke, right? Not many people watch this series, so may as well try it out in a small group of you rather than trying it out on a Kerbal video and be, bombarded with, ridiculous. I feel like you guys would be much more receptive to change, basically, is what I'm saying. So if you like the face cam idea, let me know and I'll keep it in. I've gone for, I don't know why I'm dressed like this, but so yeah, that's just the intro here. So in this episode, we are going to be building the car park. We're going to be building a car park and kind of begin the monorail station for the park. Doesn't actually serve any purpose, either of these things. They're just there for kind of an aesthetics purpose. So this series, what is it? Well, we're going to be building a theme park in Planet Coaster, and that's it, actually. But, a lot of people responded well to Mirror Lake, but I think the general consensus was that Crimson Tower was much, much better. And I tell you, I've built quite a lot of this park. I'd say this park is quite a good way through construction at this point, as I am talking about this. With Planet Coaster, I try and get a lot of the park done and have lots of footage in a back catalogue ready, so I can continuously pump out videos without having to worry about being delays, or I don't have to play the game regularly every week. I can have a week off and still have lots of footage in the back burner. So that's why there was kind of a bit of a gap between Crimson Tower and this one. But now I think I've got quite a lot of footage. I think I've got about 16 hours of footage built up, so I can now start to release episodes and know that I'll be safe, in that if I miss a week, I'll still have lots of footage to catch up. So yeah, it's a very small car park, to be honest. The thing in the back of my mind is that it's kind of like a premium car park. Like, guests can pay a bit more to park in this car park there, and there's an off-site car park further away that's cheaper, and then you get the monorail in. So that's why I got it. So we've got like a premium car park where you can drive straight to the gate, but it'll cost you. And then there's the monorail for the peasants. I mean, the less financially endowed guest can get the train in. And a train's kind of more fun, I think, than a car anyway. I don't know, I can't really think of any other way to justify this. So yeah, nothing too special, to be honest. I just built kind of these slabs. I used the DeLorean time machine because at the time of making this bit of footage, the adventure pack or the studios pack hadn't come out yet, so there weren't actually proper vehicles in the game. So the only ones we had were the Knight Rider car, the DeLorean, and the Monsters coach. Well, that one doesn't really count. So obviously I can't just fill the car park with DeLorean, so I left it empty for the time being. But then when the Studios pack came around, as it will happen in this series, we'll add cars then. So that's kind of, I'm not adding any cars or anything today, and that's why, because when I made this bit of footage, they didn't exist in the game. And yeah, like I say, we're going to work on the car park, do a little bit of the road system with the horrendous path tool that still hasn't been fixed. Frontier, what are you doing? And then we'll just do a little bit of the monorail track, although we won't actually build the station till next episode. Next episode, actually, I think is going to be much, much better than this one. Like I say, one of the reasons I've put this face cam here is because hopefully it provides a little bit more visual stimulus, because as everything I do in Planet Coaster is very interesting to watch. So I'm sure you'll agree. But this is not that. This is not the most enthralling bit of footage. In fact, it's basically me just placing car parking spaces over and over and over again. So yeah, I thought this might add a little bit of flair to it. It's not by no means a new thing that's going to be part of this series, but I thought everyone does face cams. I should try this, and embrace the market. The market has decided that's what we want, so I will just listen to the market. That's all I have to say about that, really. Now I'm drawing a blank, because I feel like normally when I record these things, I'll record a bit of commentary, have a look at the footage, then pause it all, think out what I'm going to say, and edit out microphone bashes and things like that. I'll pause, think out what I want to say. If I don't like the way I said something, I'll go back and rephrase it. Because I'm kind of doing a face cam, I'm very lazy. I don't have to do too much rejigging about. So let's just try and do it all in one take without kind of doing any edits. So here you can see me placing some Belisha beacons, just to add a little bit of extra flair to the car park, make it a bit more realistic. I don't know if you guys have this in the States, because That's where the majority of my viewers come from. But Belisha Beacon's in the UK, and that's where this park's going to be set. It's like a zebra crossing, so pedestrians have right of way. I know zebra crossings in a lot of places, especially like the rest of Europe, a zebra crossing doesn't necessarily mean right of way, but in the UK it does. A pedestrian has the right of way if they're crossing a zebra crossing. Cars have to give way to them. Obviously, you can't take it for granted because, there are morons that drive cars and blind people. But that's what they're supposed to represent. So we've got this nice little Belisha Beacon setup going on. One of the reasons I think this works, I prefer this park a lot more to my previous ones, is because I think I began to add lots more detail to my parks with Crimson Tower. Oh, I think Mirror Lake was a fairly detailed park, but I think it was very kind of thrown together in a lot of ways. And Crimson Tower was a big improvement on this. The buildings themselves, particularly, namely the namesake of the park, the big red tower, that was insanely detailed. But I still think that it looked a bit kind of like it was made in a video game. It had this sort of look to it that didn't really look genuine. I can't really put my finger on what it was. Maybe it was just the scarcity or like the levelness of the terrain and the scarcity of any actual geographical features and kind of variation in ground texture and just, very bland paths and things connecting the rides together. So this time, from where I am so far, I'm very happy. This park is by far the most realistic looking, and I think it's got the best roller coasters I've done, to be honest. The roller coasters I've done in this park so far, I think are more realistic than they were in Mirror Lake. That was a cartoon land by comparison, and just more fun to ride than they were in Crimson Tower. And I'm kind of trying to elevate the detail level. So this is obviously, we're now at the difficult third park where we've got to try and keep things varied, but also not too varied because people have an expectation, I think. So let me know in the comments below, because like I say, I've built a lot of this park, but I still am building it, like as I speak. Obviously not as I speak, I'm recording this as I speak, but just in general, I am still making this park. So if you have any suggestions or ideas of what you would think, any good ride names or themed areas or just general hat shops, things like that, leave a comment below. I do read comments. People sometimes think that I don't read comments or things like that. I do read comments, or tweet at me. Yeah, I'm trying to get my Twitter promoted. That's my big push I'm doing at the moment. So I've been trying to step up my Twitter game. So basically, this involves me posting KSP memes. So if you like KSP memes, some fresh OC content at least once a week, and they generally go down pretty well. Those tweets. So if you like terrible memes and just general nonsense in your Twitter feed, then I highly recommend follow. What a great sell. So that's kind of, this is the road network. So as you can kind of see, I guess just from watching this footage, you can see it was kind of an uphill battle, trying to get the paths to kind of bend to my will. Bend? Because it had bends? Is that a pun? Probably not. The path system is very, very unwieldy in this game, and it still is. And I've just come to accept that they'll never fix it. That's just the way it is, which is a shame, because, Cities Skylines, I feel like, is the best comparison to this game, as in the game most similar to this. And the road system is perfect. They could just copy that, de facto, and it would make the path system much, much better, but they don't. So, whatever. I'm just grateful it's not as bad as Roller Coaster Tycoon World, which did that get taken down at one point? I don't even know, but I know it's pretty bad. So what else has been going on in the news? I tell you what, this is something I was saving for a story time with Matt in a KSP video, and I could probably just say it again because the vast majority of people who watch those videos don't watch these. So you guys could even interpret this as a sneak preview of an upcoming Kerbal Space Program commentary track. So speaking of upcoming previews, this Saturday's video is going to be constructing a space station with space shuttles. See that little? So I don't know if it's not really. I guess it's not really that impressive, but it's a cool little gimmick. And I think I don't really know actually. I just thought it sounded like a cool idea. So that's kind of this Saturday thing. But no, the story time with Matt. It was I got recognised in public for the first time in my life, which was actually very surreal. I didn't really know how to react. It was just very awkward overall. I apologise profusely because it was just weird. Because if it happened on like the street, or I don't know, on the streets, I guess, yes, then it would have been fine. I would be like, oh hey, yeah, do you wanna a high five or something? I don't know. I haven't really thought this through, but I'm sure I'd be a bit more fluent if it actually came to it. But no, this guy was a patient of mine. That's the issue. I called him in for his appointment. So he had his family there. And I came and sat down. I said, oh yeah, just take a seat in that chair by the desk. And I was just closing the door behind him and I was going to sit down in my chair. And he kind of just said, "Oh, can I just ask, are you a YouTuber?" And I just kind of stared at him like a deer caught in headlights. He goes, "Are you Matt Lowne on YouTube?" And I'm like, well, first of all, it's Matt Lowne. And then I just kind of stared and awkwardly laughed and then didn't even address the issue. I feel like it was a terrible interaction. I feel very bad because I don't know if I came across as rude or dismissive. But the thing is, I turned to like his parents and they were just giving me this stone cold look. And in like the clinical profession, you want to kind of maintain this level of professionalism. And if it turned out I was just some wacky video gamer on YouTube, that might diminish my medical credibility somewhat. So that was kind of the main reason why I just kind of stuttered and didn't really address the issue properly. So I am very sorry. I am seeing you again. I can't discuss much more than this because then that would breach patient confidentiality. But you'd have an appointment coming up with me at some point. So maybe I'll have to kind of retroactively address it or apologize or something. Hopefully everyone just forgets about the situation. But that was weird. That was a really weird situation. So by the way, if you're a fan, don't come to my place of work expecting me to, because I can't. I'll be in clinic. People have asked me actually, where do you work? I could want to come visit, and I'm like, don't do that. No, in general, if you're watching this person that recognized me in clinic, which statistically or not, let's face it, but on the off chance you are, yes, that was me, and I'm sorry I reacted so poorly. I was just kind of more in shock than anything else, and like I say, I didn't want your parents to suddenly have no faith in me as a clinician. Anyway, so that was kind of a weird event. I'll probably try and restructure that better for when I actually do it in a Kerbal video when there's going to be a lot more people watching it. But hey, this is kind of like the beta. This is just where I rehearse things. Like I'm trialing Facecam. I'm telling stories that I haven't ironed out and probably might never even tell in a Kerbal Space Program video. But yeah, whatever. That's just kind of like, I kind of like the fluidity of the Planet Coaster videos where it's all a bit kind of a stream of consciousness. It's just a nice little soapbox for me to just talk, because I don't know if you guys could tell this, but I can just talk about nothing. I don't really know how. I was in a car journey for like 4 hours and the driver was like, "I just want you to keep talking to me because I'll fall asleep otherwise." And so I did. I just kept the conversation going, and someone in the back was like, I thought you might have been on drugs because you just talk with so much energy. And we were all just falling asleep. How do you keep doing? And I was like, I think I'm just a massive narcissist, to be honest. I didn't say that. I don't know. I think it's just, I don't really know where I picked up the trait. I think it's just because So anyway, I hope you, so what has actually happened since this? So this, what I'm doing here, so this is the monorail. I was talking, maybe I should talk about the footage on screen for once. So as I said earlier, we have the very small car park there for kind of the premium paying guests, but then we also have this monorail, which doesn't actually go anywhere. It just goes on a loop. It's purely an aesthetic thing. I'm thinking about, well, what I did end up doing, I put like a guest spawn point inside the train station. What you can see me doing here, I'm building this in scenario editor mode, so I have a bit more controls at my power. For example, I can set where the guest spawn point is. So instead of them all emerging from just some cave, they're coming out of a train station, which kind of logistically makes more sense. Obviously, the cars in the car park can never move and they're all just static. But, you know, it's a nice step up from just popping out of a cave in the side of a hill. And as you can see, we're kind of building this. I kind of went with custom supports as well, because the monorail supports, I don't know. I know they look realistic by a lot of monorail standards, but I still think they look a bit flimsy, a bit twig-like. So I did end up building with them, building my own. And one of the things I really liked about the adventure update is that now, well, one of my gripes with the way walls work in this game is that you can only place them up like in one way. You can only place them like this, like perpendicular to the ground, 90 degrees, like a normal wall. But the adventure pack adds temple walls, which can be just rotated like any object. So you can do crazy angles and really, really more interesting structures. I guess you could kind of do that already with the geometric shapes, but they were very flat and matte, kind of plasticky looking. And these are made of stone, so it looks a bit more genuine to serve as a support structure or something. So you can see you're building these rail supports using the temple pieces. There we are there. So you have to color them gray. But you can see we can kind of get a nice sort of interesting, there we go. Kind of nice sort of art, I want to say Art Deco, but it's not really Art Deco. Oh, well, I've deleted it now. But it will be back. So yeah, I think just the adventure pack is worth it just for the temple walls. And the studios pack is worth it as well, just because it adds a really cool fence. That's how boring I am. Adds a really cool fence. And the fact that it adds cars to the game, which, I don't think this is a controversial opinion, but cars should really have been in the game from the get-go. I don't know why they're now being added in a expansion pack. I would complain that this is like The Sims 4 cutting out content, because I think it is pretty comparable, but the base game was so good, I don't mind. But yeah, that's kind of and elevators. Why aren't elevators in this game? There is actually, I don't know if it's a spoiler alert or something, but we do end up building a tower that's very similar to the Crimson Tower in this series. So, and again, I was unfortunate that there's no elevators in the game. Luckily though, this tower, what I did was, with the Crimson Tower, I built the tower and then built the path inside it. That was a mistake. I built a big spiral path going all the way to where the top of the tower would have been, and then I built the tower around the path. So this time guests can actually get to the top, and the top is much better built as well, because the Crimson Tower, sounds weird, doesn't it? It's kind of a cool like metal structure, but the actual top of the tower, it was very kind of, I don't know, clunky, a bit bulky. It looked a bit out of place compared to the rest of the structure. So this time, basically everything about this park blows both Crimson Tower and Mirror Lake out of the water. And I know I said that I was going to do that with Crimson Tower to Mirror Lake, and I guess I did, but this one takes it up another step. So I guess things are actually wrapping up. I don't actually build the station in this episode, because I decided not to include that bit of footage, because, you got to pick. I don't want this video to drag on too long. What are we on now? 16 minutes? I think that's a 15-20 minutes, I think, is a good sort of sweet spot for Planet Coaster videos. So I think we're going to call it there. But that was the end of the first episode. Like I say, any suggestions, leave them down below, but there will be a bit of a delay for me to implement them because the park is quite a long way built at this point. And let me know, do you like the face cam? Should it go? I'm quite happy to remove it, to be honest. It does make me feel a bit self-conscious. So, yes, that was that episode, in which I didn't really talk much about what was going on screen, but I guess there isn't a lot to discuss about what's going on screen. So, I'll catch you in the next one.